hello, everybody. It's Alessis here, and we are once again getting a national team captain interview. I am here with the English captain for EUROBOWL 2024 in Greece. Please do introduce yourself.
The you English captain with the very English name of Cole. Um,
I
so
have
yeah,
I have been hearing some stories that you may be a foreign agent, and perhaps is but
so I'm Danish by birth, but I've been living in the UK for 8 years now, and been pretty pretty much settled in the English tournament scene for more than the 8 years. I've been playing a lot of Blood Bowl tournaments in the UK since I started playing tournaments.
mm-mm,
So my tournament home has been the UK for 10, 15 years, if probably more like 15 by now.
mm.
So, so even I'm Danish. When it comes to community, uh, I feel like I'm representing England more than I'm my homeland of Denmark by now.
Fair enough. And I mean it is like it's no criticism. Like obviously people play for the places that they feel most at home at, and for you, England is the place.
Yeah, that's the thing. At least for me, Blood Bowl is all about community. So it's
Mm.
more than anything else. So it's which community you feel like you are part of should be the team you're playing your ball for with,
Hello
rooting
there.
for.
Yep. Hello there, Triple Skull. I am apparently low on volume again. I have no idea why this keeps happening. I have tried to up my own volume, and glad to have you in the chat there, Triple Skull. But yeah, I fully agree that community is the core of the hobby of Blood Bowl. Like because of its it is like even among Games Workshop products, Blood Bowl is like rather niche as things go. Like personally, like I got into Blood Bowl more like kind of as an accident because like I started off with like Warhammer Fantasy Battles, and then like I saw some people like playing Blood Bowl with like Wood Elf and like Chaos Marauder figures, and I was like going like, oh, what's this? So it was more of an accident for me rather than like anything else. And I do think that like Blood Bowl community as a whole, definitely like seems to be getting stronger by the year.
Yeah, it's been like we have been having World Cups and stuff. World Cup since 2007, Eurobowls since way before that.
Mm,
And I cannot, of course, now remember how long we've been having Eurobowls, but way before I even know about the concept of Eurobowls.
mm, mm,
Um, 2003 at least, according to the history on Eurobowl.eu.
mm, mm,
So the community thing and tournament scene has always been strong, and
mm.
but it's grown after Games Workshop picked up the games again with the first season, now the second season,
Yeah, yeah,
um, and of course the online versions in Fumble and Blood Bowl 2 and Blood Bowl 3 and so on. It's definitely exploded,
yeah,
even more than it was strong, but now there's
yeah.
so many trying to get to a tournament in the UK. You have to buy the ticket basically before you know if you really can go or not,
Mm.
because otherwise you're not getting in.
Yeah, and I do feel that like that sort of explosion has very much like come on the wings of like the wider sort of internet like thing like spreading with like things like Discord, for example, like being like that's a communication service that's like fairly reliable and a lot of people use, and it's not just for like voice, unlike say what was it, Ventrilo and like Teams like time ago. So
Yep.
definitely, like it definitely helps, at least in like my opinion, like in Finland, for example, like because it's a fairly big country, but like fairly sparsely populated. It's one of those that like those sorts of services do really help like keep in touch with like other Blood Bowl players, even if they're like farther away, and you'll get information at the very least of like, oh, there's a tournament going on over there, because you might not know if you know like just hadn't ever visited like the place, even though it might be close by. But
Mm.
moving on from the more wider subject, we'll try to keep this a little more brief than the past two interviews. So let's dive right in to the English roster and the English team in general.
Mm.
How long have you, for example, been playing for the English team and like been sort of part of that higher, well, the most competitive echelon, I guess, of Blood Bowl for
And so which brings us kind of back to my original story. Is I've been playing EuroBowl from the first EuroBowl from the UK, from England, not UK,
mm,
was at Malta last year.
mm, mm,
Um, the EuroBowl before that was supposed to be Poland, but got cancelled in the
yeah.
whole COVID circus. And the EuroBowls before that, I played for Denmark.
Ah,
Um, so the idea was to play Euro Open in Poland and then switch over to England because I've been there so long by then.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so I'm relatively new compared to a lot of my teammates in the
Mm,
UK on the UK
mm,
scene. Euroball team, but been playing tournaments since
yeah.
the first World Cup in 2007. So I'm not new to neither Euroball or tournament scene.
Int- Interesting. How have you again, as I'm not very familiar with the Blood Bowl sort of tabletop scene and Eurobowl or World Champion. Uh, would you consider the English roster that you have? Would you consider it more veteran, or do you have
It,
newer
it
players?
traditionally it's been very. It's been a core of like 6 to 7 people, where most of them played most years, at
Mm.
least 6. But just due to time and stuff, we got 4 people on this year that haven't played Euroball before.
Mm.
So it's quite a change. And to be fair, the old core of players has won Euroball in 6 out of the last 8 years. So
Mm.
it was hard to criticize that.
Yeah, they
Uh,
were definitely at the top of their game. Like
yes,
so.
and good at making Euroball where team tournaments where it's not always just about you winning.
Mm.
Sometimes you need to take draws for make sure the team wins and stuff, which they've always been really good at
Mm.
playing. Some will say boring and conservative way of playing Blood Bowl, but very efficient at traditional Euroball.
It is one of those things that like there are definitely several different sort of ways to view playing both Blood Bowl, like the game itself, as well as playing in a team environment such as a Euro Bowl, and like
Mm,
none of those are particularly wrong, but
yeah,
in the sense like everyone like so long as it's enjoyable to people, then like that's the way that Blood Bowl should be played. But yeah, there is
yeah,
something to be said about consistently managing to like climb to the very top of the ladder. It,
yeah.
it speaks to a very good cohesion in the team, I think.
It has been, but for different reasons. We
Mm,
At least I feel there was also time to move on a bit, and some has dropped off
mm,
naturally just because of we all getting older and other things gets important. Um,
yeah. There is definitely, and I mean it is good to like let new blood into the team as well, in the sense of like giving them that experience and like sort of like
it is it is really hard because on a regular basis it
mm,
is hard to play against, get good matchups.
mm,
It's not that easy because there's so many people, and even if there's good players at your tournament, there's no guarantee you get to play them
yeah,
like top coaches. So it's for sure it's a way to test some of them and see how well they actually do
yeah,
outside the normal bubble of tournament play,
yeah,
uh, which also means it's for the 4 new names. It's not particularly well known outside the UK, I think.
mm, mm,
Um, where they've all been doing well in the different areas of the UK, but not been playing that much outside. So it's going to
mm,
be interesting.
mm. And I do feel that like Euro Bowl, for example, is one of those that like when you sort of step into that international like scene, it can come as a like it can get on like make people nervous a little bit. It can make people like have that sort of this is different from back home, right? So there's definitely that aspect to it, and I think like that with experience that will sort of like morph into like people looking
Mm.
forward to it rather than being actually nervous about it. So experience is always good, but let's then dive in straight to the actual coaches in particular and the rosters that you have decided to do. Out of the as a like Norse is the one sort of that like team as like as a Blood Bowl team
Mm.
is the one that kind of stands out as the odd man out in.
Yeah,
So
but
we'll start with the Rake as the first
which
coach.
is one of the new guys,
Mm,
which has done really well over a period of time in the UK.
mm,
Come from competitive other card gamings and stuff, but it's by now it's not new to Blood Bowl, but was pretty new and is new in this regard.
mm, mm,
I come with a competitive gaming experience, so hopefully that helps when we talk about the nervous part.
mm, mm,
Unfortunately, he's again. I think you talked a bit with the Swedish guys about
mm.
it. It sometimes you need to compromise the team selection when it also comes to making sure people are comfortable what they have to play.
Yep.
And his two best races are Chaos Dwarfs and Norse. So
Right.
it ended up having to be one of those, and we ended up saying the Norse probably have the higher upside.
Mm, mm,
Um, at least there'll be opportunity to get some at least some draws home. So at least, yeah, I think
mm.
the upside was slightly higher. I don't particularly rate the Chaos Dwarf in this rule set either, the way
Mm.
it's tiered.
Yeah, I haven't like they. I remember they used to be like like from the online gaming days of like like in the Chaos edition of Bubble One,
Hmm.
like the Chaos Doors used to be one of those very highly rated teams because it seems like they could kind of do everything at a fairly sort of good cost efficiency with the roster that
But
they had.
but the needs, like Blood Bowl 2 was the same, where Russian friend in Crucifer dominated the Chaos Dwarf, but they need enough development
Mm,
um, to be that,
mm, mm,
and a couple of skills. They're struggling in a lot of matchups. Otherwise, I find.
mm, mm.
So we ended. He likes Norse. Norse is the, lots of block. It's a stable team to play.
Yeah.
Has a lot of dashy things in EuroBowl. It might
Mm,
be all right.
yeah. Um,
Um,
but yeah, speaking of the because the Swedish did have the like a Norse player as well, and like I do see the differences between the
mm,
rosters in the and like the one that was brought up in that one was that they were not so sold on the Yeti.
no, it's no. They're going fouling route where Mike likes to go to try the strings of the Yeti and the Norse Berserker Mighty Blow,
Mm,
but no fouling instead.
mm,
So it's more traditional, old school Norse, I guess.
mm.
I've um, tried to beat people up a bit. It's the famous glass cannon
Yeah,
in full action.
yeah,
Um, I'm not particularly good with Norse, so I will trust whatever Mike feels best with. That's what the Rake slash Mike is playing.
yeah. And I mean,
Um,
as mentioned before, like coaches do have their like certain peculiarities, certain personalities, and like what works for one coach doesn't necessarily work for another, and it may not be any less effective for being that. Uh,
no, and I know Oost Jonas very well as well.
mm-mm.
So
Right. Well,
yeah,
we'll move up from the bottom to the top then. Next up, we have Purple Goo with Necromantic Horror.
Necromantico and Purple Goo is anybody that knows tabletop or fumble
Mm-mm.
wouldn't be surprised about that name.
Mm,
Which is a stalwart of Team England, been captain a couple of times as well, at least.
mm,
Um, one of the original core, potentially. A lot would probably say one of the best players we have around.
mm,
He got Necros with some extra money, which means you can get everything you want, and you can still skill up pretty much everything you want.
mm.
Um,
Yeah, Necro definitely seems like the sort of team that enjoys like having just that little bit extra in there, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah. It means you get 3 rerolls and bench without having to compromise.
yeah,
Because sometimes they're a bit. If you don't have bench, the zombies has a tendency to lead the game, and then it's starting to be a bit of a struggle sometimes.
mm.
Um, so no, it's good, and he's great.
No,
Gone for the all guard solution, which is
two
a
flesh
nightmare to
golems
play
and the
against.
race.
Which is a nightmare to play against.
Yep. I have really been like, I have grown to appreciate like the wraith as a piece, like with both like the sidestep, the foul appearance and block, like like coming in standard. Like I have, like once you get guard on that, like it is just such a good efficient piece.
Yep, that's
No,
such a nightmare to play against.
yeah.
The piece you want to hit, but you really don't want to hit at the same time.
Yeah, and like it's one of the pieces on like the Necro team that can get around with like with its agility. So it's not even like what, like unlike the flesh golems who can be kind of like can get stuck in a mire if the opponent
Yeah,
like does it. But yeah, block wrestle on the werewolf. I can appreciate that.
you
Um,
wouldn't do it in progression
no,
probably, but this is resurrection, and you want something to take down
yeah.
stuff reliable.
Yeah, and like rather have I guess the block on the ghoul runner, because the ghoul runner is gonna be like the mainstay ball pickup and like carrying it
Mm,
at least for the start. So rather have it there, and then the werewolf can go more aggressive with its
mm,
more movement as well. And it like
yeah,
wrestle does combo, I feel, decently well with the frenzy. Like
it, you do. You will see it in a second again on Dark Elf. It's
mm,
kind of it's the same concept.
yeah.
They
Um,
just don't have jump up, but you still you want that extra utility in your toolbox.
yeah, yeah, I agree. But yeah, looks like a more than a solid enough necro team. So uh Pete W, is that like,
It's
I assume that's for his surname, but like it could also just mean winner, like W win.
it is it's very much just like me. I think both of us has more used lock-ins
Mm.
type names instead of nicknames, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
Since my name in a second is also just my first letter from my first name and then my last name,
yeah.
opposite Pete in the other
Yeah,
direction.
yeah, yeah.
Nope. But yeah, it's another. He's not. He's first started playing EUROBOWL relatively recently, but been a main top coach in the UK for forever. He's one of the reasons I started playing
Mm.
in the UK to start with.
Yeah,
Invited me over, was called Block Bowl Grand Tournament back then,
yeah. Mm.
back in 2008.
Mm.
So he's been around forever, but first the kids are getting old enough so he can get away with playing some Euroball and stuff. So he's finally taking that up as well. But
Mm.
again, another name. If people play Fumble, haven't been playing Fumble for years, they will very much know who he is as well.
Yeah, I
From
like I haven't been playing like Fumble at all, and even then, like I kind of like that was one of the names that on this roster that I like immediately recognized. I've heard like, because like I talk with people who do play on Fumble quite a bit, like
yeah,
in for the pain for the Swedish team in particular,
yeah,
and like he's definitely talked about like before.
yeah. He's great.
Mm.
Um, and Dark Elves are just good.
Yeah, like I feel that Dark Elves are probably like it's the elf team that I've been playing the most.
Mm.
And like it seems to be the elf team that is doing best in like tournament play
Yeah,
in currently at least.
they've been for a while. Like I've played them quite a lot myself and
Mm,
done really well with them as well.
mm,
I think since again mid about since 2010, my guess will be it's probably Dark Elf has won the most tournaments in the UK. Is probably my bet
mm, mm.
because the combination of being doable and AG4 at the same time is just
Yeah,
a nightmare.
yeah,
Like anyone and they can do a bit of hitting. So anyone that's tried to playing like down numbers to Dark Elf knows that's
yeah,
never gonna work.
yeah. pressure they can put on is quite immense.
And they can still get away with being down in numbers themselves. It's a bit of a pain. I think the only controversial, if anything, is he's have the two assassins,
Yeah.
which is with Underworld nerf and other stuff, there will be less potentially squishy stuff, but it's still EUROBOWL. Like you can see on our roster, there's still plenty squishy stuff on EUROBOWL rosters, so the assassins still should get plenty work.
Yeah. And I mean, even against like players or like even against like shambling undead or necro, if you can get the assassin like near the ghouls, like even if they have blodge, like it's still gonna be a threat to them. Still gonna.
And it's still like, I think again,
Mm.
remembering back to Sweden, and again, this like even uphill blocks, that's probably better trying the assassin and than it is to actually to die uphill stuff.
Yeah.
Quite often.
Yeah.
So he's also can be used that way, and again, it's a free action. There's no turnover risk.
Yeah. But yeah, I am definitely like as a dark elf coach, like I am definitely an advocate for having a runner, but because I just feel that it like the runner having a runner in the like it just gives you an additional more like tool that you can use. Like
Yeah, what you're missing by not having it is there's literally nobody that passes principle on this team.
At the
You
point
don't,
where you're going like, okay, the quick pass is going to be a 4+. I'm not
yeah.
sure passing is
Yeah, but you still got plenty of movement 7, so you
Yeah.
like even 2 turns should still allow you to hand off to somebody to score.
Yeah.
So it's still not. It's a compromise. But I know why he's done what he's done.
Yeah, and I mean,
And
I don't think it's like, especially if you like Amazons in particular, like jump up to me as a sort of like a team that there's going to be probably a lot of in EuroBowl, and like double assassin against like Amazon seems like a pretty
Skaven,
yeah.
Amazons, Wood Elf, Dark Elves,
Even
ghouls, and both undead and necros, like you said.
yeah,
There's plenty of soft targets left.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that's too much else to say. He's one of the best in the world with Dark Elf, so let's trust his instincts.
Yeah. Well, then we have then we have yours truly with the Wood Elf team, and you're it's slightly like obviously like a lot of the Wood Elf rosters will look fairly familiar to most people, but you've gone full on for the lineman skill here.
I think you'll. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure my Swedish friends had the same, and I think you'll see more. Again, just because the linemen are so much better with one skill. Like, I know what you're saying about the catcher is also useful, giving them a skill, but the linemen just are so much better with a skill than skillless. Normally, I would not take the tree. The only reason I have a tree man is the extra money upgrades my 4th catcher to a tree instead.
Right.
To get a bit of durability. But if I just had 1/6, which was the original, I've been playing 4 catchers and no throw, no tree, and 3 rerolls, and just float around with that. But the extra money gives the incentive to upgrade one of them to a bit more stability on the.
One of the things that I am curious about has like with the two Wood Elf linemen that both have wrestle on them, like was there ever a temptation to go for a block and a wrestle?
Nah, if I like a redundancy in that case, if one of them bites the bullet, I still like to have one wrestle.
Yeah, and I mean,
And I got block on both the war dancers.
yeah, I figured that was gonna be like it's gonna be the war dancers who are mostly gonna be blitz regardless.
Yeah,
So
it's mainly the wrestler mainly there for doing the odd blocks, and when you want in those cases where we kind of wanted both down results to wrestle stuff down to open up stuff if you don't get the pause.
yeah. No, it all.
And also, nobody likes to hit a wrestle player.
Yeah, it is one of those. it is just one of those things where you go like, oh, I get a both down, I have block, and then you see wrestle and go like, well, this wasn't exactly what I wanted, was it?
Yeah, and I got movement 7, so I can
Yeah,
run away.
yeah,
The other guy can probably not.
yeah, it is
So
very
so
very
that's also so that's also that
yeah,
where if it has block, people is less care less about it because if they get stuck with a wood elf lineman, they don't really care.
yeah, yeah. True enough.
Um,
Um, but yeah, no, the like Wood Elves do tend to do very solidly in tournament environments at the very least.
yeah, and we're back again. This is a team tournament, so I don't necessarily need to win.
Yeah,
And there's not many people going for a win, even if they're beating up Wood Elf if there's 2 war dancers left.
yeah,
So that's also that. I have been. It's not my main team at the moment, but for EuroBowl, it's hard to argue against the fact that they can probably get away with getting draws even in bad matchups.
mm.
Um,
Just as a was there ever a consideration of having a thrower in the roster? Because like to me, like Wood Elves are the well, I guess High Elves as well are like very much the two sort of quintessential. I'm gonna throw the ball, like Pat actually throw the ball teams.
but you would only if you like has a kind of an old blood a tabletop saying you only throw the ball if you're in problems
Ah, yeah,
because it is just adding a 2+ extra
yeah,
if you could just hand it off.
yeah,
And the money is really awkward
yeah. The
because you
thrower
kind of
is
almost need to, otherwise you're starting wasting money. Um, so no, it's not for resurrection.
fair
Um,
enough. Fair
and
enough.
I don't like lead on pieces on low armor teams because then the focus is gonna keeping him alive
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
instead of actively playing.
yeah, and I mean the leader, like as a skill, like it doesn't affect like things that you are actively doing on the field, right? Like it's not a dodge, it's not a wrestle, it's not a block, so it doesn't give you like it gives you that extra reroll. I can understand it. It is just one of those like things that like because of my online and more league sort of
Mm.
like background, it does stand out to me as a thing that.
You
But
on tabletop, you gamble with your movement 8 and 7 speed is enough to
yeah,
to give you a good handoff chance instead.
yeah, and I mean
Um,
with three catchers, that's more than likely to be the case. That
yeah, which is again why I normally liked having all 4.
yeah,
It's again, then you so much movement, so you should be fine without being able to pass the ball.
yeah,
Um, but let's move on to
yep.
Amazons and Jumanji.
Jomanti, is that Jomanti or Jomanji?
Jumanji,
Okay.
Jumanji, which is another. He has played a bit online. He's streamed a bit Blood Bowl 2, have a Patreon, done a
Mm-hmm.
lot of write-ups and stuff. And again, one of the old guard of Team England.
Mm-hmm.
Always, always, always there, always stable. Traditionally, I've been playing Undead,
Mm-hmm.
but this year he's rocking out some extra skills Amazons instead. For why not give one of the best teams in the game even more?
Yeah, yeah. Certainly, Amazons definitely seem like one of those teams where the extra skill can be put into great use. But this like not only are the skills somewhat different from some of the at least one of the other
Mm,
Amazons teams that we see, he's rocking 3 rerolls and still a leader on the thrower as well. So,
yeah,
as well as going like block wrestle on the line moment. Um,
yep. It leaves
interesting.
you a lot of room to use the reroll aggressively.
Yeah, and I mean I have a feeling that like Amazons generally want their game plans to be aggressive, like putting that pressure with the two blitzers, and so having the I guess the luxury of potential like using a reroll for that and still having like back it up is
Yeah,
seems pretty solid.
yep. Hard to argue with. That should do.
Yeah,
I will be surprised if this roster doesn't do pretty well.
yeah. Um, there was the argument in the in a previous case uh where having bludge on like one of at least one of the blockers, like with the strength 4 was touted as like a great choice.
If I could stack a player, my pick will be add block to guard on one of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But I'm with you. The guard is just so good,
yeah.
and guard defensive strength 4 is such a nightmare, especially for like lizard teams and other
Hmm.
stuff
Yeah,
where you normally struggles a bit.
yeah, and I do feel like because of like at least the way that I envision like Amazons being played fairly sort of aggressively, I feel that just having the one guard, even if like it just might not be enough, and at that
Yeah.
point like you're kind of starting to run out of like good options. Just having the two gives you just that extra bit of reliability. I feel to your
Hmm.
core game plan. But yeah, very much like I would have to like echo your sentiments that like I'm expecting this roster to do very well because it looks very formidable like, to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's one of, again, like I said, for for pound nowadays, I think Amazon roster might be at least one of the strongest out
mm,
there,
mm,
and then they can use the ability to get one extra skill because they don't mind the rules that was around that.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's it's lovely.
Um,
Almost jealous. I want to play that team.
understandable. Um, we have Il Planet 4.
Yes.
All right, Lizardmen and well, I mean they do have a chameleon skink, which is something that we haven't like seen as
It,
much.
yeah, it. I think yeah, we touched it. It's pretty easy. It fits the money.
Mm,
On the ball is fine.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's not like you can use the money too much if you get the 10k.
Yeah,
I'd rather have on the ball than having the 10k
yeah,
in a coach.
yeah.
So
It is just if I remember correctly, chameleon skinks only have a movement of 7, don't they?
yeah,
Yeah, like that.
yeah.
That's
They
that's
lose,
the that's the big sinker for me. I think for
but on the ball,
yeah,
and I think the pass slightly better as well.
yeah, could be.
So I think so. Just if you have to score quick, that 3 extra free movement
Yeah,
is worth the one movement.
yeah. Or in general, yeah.
Of just free, you will get over 6 game. You'll probably get a couple of free chances to get the ball, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to pick it up, and you only have two rerolls.
Yeah.
So anything you can get where you don't have to pick it up
Mm,
is golden.
yeah. Yeah. No, I
And movement 7 is still good.
yeah.
Movement. It's still fast.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Like. And I am like when I look at a Lizardman roster, I definitely like would want to like to get a chameleon skink just because of like the sort of extra versatility that you can get out of the on the ball.
Mm.
Like it is one of those things that I look at and going like, yes, this is a good addition. I feel to the Lizardman roster as a um. I'm not as convinced about just going full block on the SARS. Like I think
It,
that a guard could work
you
wonders.
could take guard, you could take a wrestle, you could take a tackle,
Yeah,
but history also says that all block works.
yeah, it certainly does.
It's tried. It's definitely tried and tested.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Um,
Block is just
so
such a universally.
yeah. So you're not necessarily traditional trying to go people, but just even one dicing with block,
Yeah,
like even 2 dice uphill is still only 30% to fail
yeah,
as long as you block without spending a reroll. So it's yeah, block is just great.
yeah, yeah. You can't.
But yeah, you could be more fruity, but this is easy. This works.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, the main goal is not losing.
Yeah,
Winning is bonus. Not losing is preferred. As it's the first key.
yeah. Uh, moving on to somebody who I think is going to be expected to be winning a lot of their games is Drake Munker.
Yeah, so him and the planet is both also. He's another new guy. Playing Skaven, you can build Skaven in so many different ways. I prefer personally Juggernaut and Red Ogre.
Yeah.
Monger like block for both the defensive and the offensive capabilities, but it should work.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Like. Uh, I just feel like it is definitely one of those that in a tournament situation such as this, like the block seems a luxury to where the juggernaut seems like just entirely practical.
Yeah. The thing is, of course, is if you take block, is he's pretty reliable to get people down, which means you don't sacrifice anything taking guard on both blitzers, because then where otherwise you could be tempted to do like Mighty Blow on one to make him the main blitzer. But now you kind of probably lean into that you block Red Ogre is your main guy. You can like it or not like it. It's Skaven, and the one turner is still stupidly good.
Yes.
Even without Juggernaut.
Yeah, and I like certainly like seeing at least the one gutter with the sidestep to just even.
Yeah, that it's so hard when you get so many skills not to take one on a Skaven, I think, just because it's such a good option for them.
Yeah. I am slightly surprised that he decided to go for a block gutter runner rather than a wrestle gutter runner for the one does have that, but I guess that's the
It's just the ball carrier.
yeah.
I think the thing is because of you do the double on the Red Ogre, you're also losing a skill.
Yeah.
Where if you take Juggernaut, you might take Wrestle on the last one.
Yeah.
So I think you need to have a blotch as well, so you have a stable ball carrier that's not the thrower.
No, I think this is like again, it is a Skaven team, and it is going to be able to do what the Skaven teams are well renowned on doing, is hand the ball to a gutter runner somehow and then score. Which yeah, the Rat Ogre, it is one of those things that you're now putting more eggs into that Rat Ogre sized basket, which can absolutely work, but it is also like Blood Bowl does sometimes tend to remind us that like that's not the greatest plan when that Rat Ogre gets KO'd on like the first hit he takes, and then he's out for the rest of the game, and then you're just all right.
Yep, especially because you don't have Apple here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you also need to watch out where you get him.
Yeah. But
So
I mean,
that's Dante's mission is to make him work without you need to make him work without making him an easy target.
yeah. But I mean, at the sort of level of play that we're kind of expecting out of like people who are going to EuroBowl, because we are assuming high levels of play at the tournament, like, from all of the coaches, and like that does obviously mean that like even if that sort of a setback happens, he's he can still at least try to like he will do his best to survive, and he will probably like he has the skills, like he has proven that he's good enough to get on the team, so he probably has the skills to at least try to make something out of that back.
Yeah, that's we'll hope at least even in the bad game is again if you can claw draw out of that, that's just brilliant.
Yeah.
And they is bad games.
Yeah.
But he's played a lot of Skaven, so
And I mean, Skaven is one of those teams that okay, he might lose his like primary blitzing piece in the ogre, and that like it's gonna hurt him a lot. But like so long as he has like one gutter runner left, he's still a danger opponent.
Yeah, exactly.
But moving on to the last but not least, and I believe the only person out of this England team that I have actually personally met, Bulldog. Gambling on.
Likes yeah, he's another new guy on the team. Plays lots of orcs and undead and slightly bully teams. So what's not to like with a 7 skill undead?
Yeah. I do like that he's brought one skeleton lineman as well. I've seen a lot of like a bunch of undead coaches go like, no, zombie is just always better, but I do like that, like just a little bit of extra skeleton lineman gives out.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I will normally rock 1 or 2 as well.
yeah,
I do like it, so you can put in the speed package.
yeah. um, guard tackle on the white blitzers, as expected. 2 guards on the mummies, and then block wrestle for the ghoul runners. I don't dislike that. Like that, I think
No,
that
you're a bit limited because you cannot take 2 block even if you
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
because of the extra skill because
yeah,
you got the 2 block starting in
with
the
the
whites.
whites, yeah,
So you kind of forced into that, or you could take a sure hands, but with 3 rerolls, you probably rather want
mm.
the extra wrestle. I think personally.
Yeah. There is an argument maybe to be made for like a strip ball ghoul runner as well, but
Mm,
like wrestle, I feel in an undead roster specifically, I feel that wrestle just kind of fulfills a very similar role to a strip ball ghoul, except that it's better on the defense and in
it's a
multiple
lot
situations.
better in
Yeah,
defense, and you really don't want to lose any of those 3.
yeah,
The 4th one you can probably get away with losing, but you don't want to lose any of those 3 that got skills.
yeah. Um, I mean, this is something that I have seen in at least like league and rank ladder settings is people go for a sneaky git on one of the runners. Was that ever a consideration or?
I think not with the slightly like with guard not counting anymore,
Yeah,
and you cannot move afterwards.
yeah,
Where it was so good on 80 places where you can like to do a drive by fouling,
yeah, yeah,
so you can foul and then get into safety afterwards.
yeah,
I don't think it's really been a thing here. You can still got enough bad pieces. So if you want to foul, you just throw a zombie at it.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm very much like in similar sentiments in that like I wouldn't not in a league, not in a ladder, not in a tournament setting. I wouldn't. I hate to call it like waste a ghoul on that or waste a skill on that in the case of like the tournament setting. But I just like if it had the ability to still move afterwards, even with the guard not counting for it anymore, like I think there would be more of an argument to be made. But like with the undead roster, like you only have so many mobile pieces, and then
Yeah,
like dedicating one of them to be the fouler and then not being able to move him afterwards with the nerf to sneaky get, I don't think it's
me neither.
all right. But yeah, seems like a very solid squad for England here. So do you have like specific aims, like with the illustrious history of the English team in the EuroBowl? Like, I feel that like pressure might be on you guys a little bit more than on others to do well.
I've done my best to shift the pressure a bit to our friends. It's on ranking wise, it's definitely the I think everyone's favorite on paper.
Mm,
But there's no doubt we here to like we coming to Athens to try to win.
mm,
Um, Otherwise, I don't think there's anybody on this team that doesn't play any games to win.
yeah.
Let's not kid around that. But it doesn't take much to go slightly south on
Mm,
that because
mm,
it's such a close. It's getting the top Blood Bowl teams are so much closer than they ever been. I think
mm,
from like the favorite in France, but we got Spain in round 1. We got the Swedish team. You got the Maltese team
mm,
that's done really well. You got Italians.
mm,
Like there's so many good teams. The German, not forget the Germans, and not even mention Denmark that won it last time.
mm.
Like it's a bit of combination of having a good run and getting the right draw at the right times.
Yeah.
Can take any teams long, but no, of course we the most winning nation, and we will do our very best to take it home once again and
Mm,
get back to where we feel we belong.
mm, mm. Absolutely. Um, but yeah,
Opposite.
yeah, yeah. It's like like I my default assumption is that every team is there to like win the event. Like that's kind of what like like this sort of tournament I feel is
Yeah,
about.
all this there to win, but you will probably find somewhere that's like where winning is kind of a subset. Like
Yeah.
you have team fighting for the hosting rights,
Yeah.
which is very much like for the Scottish team getting hosting rights will very much be they're trying to win the whole thing, but
Mm.
I think they will be happy also just getting EUROBOWL to Scotland for
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the sort of grand scheme of things, like, where would you say, like, if the England team doesn't end up winning the thing but ends up placing like here, would you say is like still a like something that you'd celebrate, right? Like the sort of like, is it top three minimum or?
Um, it's really hard because it can also mean depending on how you end there.
Yeah.
Um, for example, then we played Denmark when I played with Nikolai
Mm.
Triple Skull in Denmark, where we were leading before the last round, and then end up losing the last round and not winning.
Mm.
And that if it goes that way, I'm not sure I will be happy being top three if I was
Yeah.
leading before the round.
Yeah.
But if you're having a bit of a hard time and manage to squeeze yourself up to a third place with a good comeback,
Yeah.
that's a different feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
So it's hard to say what I'll be happy with, but
Mm.
that is for unproven players.
Mm.
I'll probably up front if we get top five, that's probably all right.
Mm.
Like that's probably approved if you can get into top five. like Trent.
Like 50% of Euro balls for Denmark.
Yeah, that's been a few. And those two things are different, but on paper,
Mm.
I think we have a very much a chance to win it.
Mm.
And I'll probably, if we play right and it's just the marginals and we end it somewhere in top five, it's probably all right.
Mm. Mm.
I will not be unhappy with that taking 4 new players,
Yeah.
like on starting.
Yeah.
It's not the goal, but we can probably live with that. But if it was us winning after five and then ending up like on fourth spot in the end because we
Yeah.
lose and other people lose for us, it will be a different
Yeah.
answer afterwards
Yeah.
because I wouldn't be happy about that.
Yeah. That certainly does. Is there any particular team that you're looking to like play? Like, obviously we mentioned that like France is like one of the like is considered by many to be like the favorite to win the thing. So I think we can safely say that they're one of the teams most people would consider a tough matchup for them. But is there
Yeah.
any particular team that you're looking forward to maybe facing off against?
You can also say that if you want to make sure to beating them in a
Yeah.
game it will be a good first step.
Yeah.
Um, like I know I've been playing EuroBowl and other international tournaments again for so many years that
Mm.
I'm I got friends everywhere, so I'm kind of happy. Like I want to. It's nice playing the good teams because that's better Blood Bowl.
Mm. Mm.
But I'm pretty much happy whatever teams we play because we got friends all around by now,
Mm.
and it's
Mm.
always lovely to get to play them.
Yeah.
And like we already got Spain round one, so we get one of the old rivalry out of the way straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. Gonna be a very tough matchup, that one. I'm certain. And speaking of, I think we're gonna be moving on to take a look at the Spanish roster now.
That was where we were hinting at.
Yeah. Let's so let's how many of these players, like, just out of the like, have you either played or played against, or like generally just know of the Spanish team?
um, I, when I see them, I probably know most of them.
Mm.
But at least we can know Doug Lufa. He's been the failed. Frika P is the team captain and streams and been playing favor.
Mm. Mm.
The next two, I'm not sure about. Nick Numax, I know the name. I
Mm.
played Shirko last year
Mm.
in Malta. Rarek, I know very well. He's a lovely guy.
Mm.
The last guy, what is that? I have
Daro.
a feeling, yeah, I think I know who that is as well. I probably met all of them
Yeah.
uh, all the time. But yeah, as you can see, most of us at least know about each other
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
some degree.
But
Most of them very experienced,
mm,
um, and comes with quite a different. I don't know if you looked at the Spanish team setups. They are quite.
I mean,
They're well known for being slightly more aggressive in their approach to the game, both roster building and way of playing Blood Bowl. So it's gonna be a bit of some style classes in this first round.
interesting. Okay. Where the English team has sort of at
We're
least has
well
a
known for being
history. Yeah.
we are well known for being some of the most boring when it comes to both roster selection and roster building and ways to play Blood Bowl.
Yeah.
In I think, yeah, England is probably most. I will guess if you made a survey, most coaches will put us in that category as the most boring nation. Where Spain is definitely not.
Yeah.
We we got the mighty blow and fouling coming on.
Well, let's take a look. So Duke Luther, playing as vampires, and vampires being one of those teams that is considered like very good in the tournament scene, not on the English. But this is a very
I
different looking vampire team as well. Like just holy, the man has only 3
uh,
rerolls. Oh my god.
and he got a Vargeist, and so he
Ooh,
got Vargeist
ooh,
and Cheney and only one runner. That is, I've never seen this before. It
yeah,
might work, and so you
that's
do only have 3 robots, but you also have less vampires.
yeah.
It's not what I would done, but
Mm,
it's very aggressive and it will work
mm,
in some games.
mm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's like a lot of people have brought up like the hypnotic gaze as being one of the most potent weapons
yeah, two
of the
plus.
vampires. Yeah, it's
The reason we didn't take vampires
mm,
is I think I played some vampires, and last time I played them, ended up losing 2 games because I just kept rolling ones in the last couple of
mm,
turns.
mm,
Because you need to roll so many dice even for just doing normal stuff.
yeah,
So no matter how good you are, you can lose games you're in control of.
yeah,
You can win any game,
yeah,
like from nowhere as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So the upside is huge. But if you have some of the best coaches already,
mm,
I don't like that variance. That means they can also suddenly end up losing games they should have been winning.
yeah. More
Um,
consistency for you rather than the chance to win big.
and I have some coaches, and if they like, there's some coaches on the roster. If they were familiar with Vampire, it might have been a go. But
Mm,
it's also a team. If you haven't really played them,
yeah.
your ball is not the first time to take them.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely feel that vampires is a team that you need to get a good grip on before you want like really bring them to something like
Um, so yeah, so those two things combined, I
yeah,
don't want to put any of the stable people on it.
yeah,
The ones can do well with like Necro, Amazons, and other stuff,
yeah,
and the persons you could put it on also then needs to know them.
mm. So
But
yeah,
yeah, it's a very aggressive
yeah,
vampire
and
roster
this
in a complete.
I believe this is the first star player that we've so far covered in the rosters with Wilhelm Cheney, and I mean not a bad star player at all, though. Like 220 is quite expensive.
It's a choice,
Oh,
and like I said, somebody is gonna absolutely destroy some.
mm,
Is it gonna work over 6 round every round? I don't know.
yeah,
We'll see afterwards.
yeah. All right. We have Freaky Pay with the Gambling Undead, and this one looks also kind of different from.
Because that's another star
Yeah,
player.
that is another star player indeed. Guards on the mummies, which makes sense. 2 block on the ghoul runners also makes sense. Um, I do not know what Ivan the Animal Death Shroud does. I have no idea.
Brings 4 block tackle something.
Hmm. Wonder if
Moment
we.
5, I want to say.
Unfortunately, it does not open like a stat sheet, which would be nice, but probably a lot. Uh, Very interesting. Like this, just looking at this roster, this feels way too naked of an undead team to me. Like it just seems glaringly not what I expect out of an undead roster.
I see movement. It might actually be movement 6.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like a juggernaut, juggernaut tackle, strip ball thing.
Hmm. So
So
he is
he
essentially not.
does everything, but
Yeah.
he's also, if he gets stuck, he's playing all undead, and if he gets stuck with a zombie, he's not gonna do much fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't want him hit our ghouls.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting to see. I wonder how many other star players there's going on. So moving on to a race that we have not yet seen on other rosters, Chaos Dwarves, one that we sort of gave a somewhat scathing assessment of earlier, and guard, mighty blow, mighty blow, mighty blow. Okay, that's no, like I'm gonna assume that they haven't really changed the Chaos Dwarf
Nope.
roster. I'm gonna assume that like just do you need three mighty blow instead of I don't know giving at least one block to one of the bull center?
If you ask me, I've no clue. That's about one turn you can use 3 mighty blow, and that's turn your drive.
Yeah,
Or if the opponent's go, you can do it again.
yeah.
It's yeah. No, I don't know what to say.
I mean I can see this like I can see if you go up against like elves, then you just go like here have a chaos dwarf blocker and like
It might work. He got
yeah
on Norse,
yeah
so it's gonna be interesting. So the mighty blow might do things,
yeah
but the bulls are problematic not having anything when
yeah
the opponent have block everywhere.
yeah
Um, yeah, it's not what I would have done, but it's
no.
very aggressive. It fits the Spain.
Yeah yeah this is like
I promised you it was different and
it certainly is
and
yeah
more aggressive
yeah like
roster building.
so far like it seems that all three rosters so far that we have seen are geared towards putting a lot of pressure on your opponent
Mm,
and in this case like instead of like putting it on like couple of players like with vampires and with Cheney and the Var guys, it's going to be spread out I guess with along with the blockers, but yeah it's
yeah.
very different to how I play Blood Bowl as well, so very interesting.
Again, it's definitely gonna work in some games,
Yeah.
but hopefully not our game. It's
Hopefully not.
very boom or bust again,
Yeah.
like all the rosters on so far.
Okay, I'm slightly scared to what we're gonna find in the Dark Elf roster because Dark Elves are one of those where I feel that the roster
Um,
seems pretty standard and pretty stable. So we find a pretty stable and standard roster for Dark
mm,
Elves.
yeah, besides 2 wrestlers, quite
Yeah,
aggressive.
yeah, like
I will to every time prefer having the block.
yeah,
And also, it's one of the things with the block is it's a super good backup ball carrier if you start getting down in numbers.
yeah,
Because having 2 wrestle witch elves, if you're struggling on players,
yeah,
and I don't like leader on the runner because
mm,
that's just it's a useless piece until you use your reroll.
yeah,
So you're just a piece you need to protect on a roster that doesn't really want to protect anybody, but
yeah,
just want to be there.
yeah. No,
Um,
I definitely am a fan of the of block wrestle witch rather than two wrestles, but the counter argument obviously being that okay, if you lose one of the witch elves, then at least you still have another witch elf with wrestle, which can come in handy.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, again,
uh,
dark elves very solid overall. Like
yeah. It's not wrong. It's just not what I would do.
yeah. Um. Ninox. Underworld fight. No swarming.
It's that Underworld still have a great one. They still got a great one turner, and they
Hmm.
still got a good fouling game,
Hmm.
which is exactly what we're seeing here.
Yeah. Yeah. That is
Two
definitely.
bribes, 30 player, and 2 heads jogging out for the one turner.
Yeah.
There's no doubt what he's gonna try.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, but it's Geomantia's Amazon, so there is 14 Amazons plus an Apo.
Yeah. That's. I mean,
Um, So I said there's some work to be done.
Yeah, and like it does not help. Like Amazon's, I feel is a fairly not great matchup for this roster because of the fact that dodge all around, right? Like that's gonna
Yeah.
definitely, I think, bite.
And he's taking a lot of block as well.
Yeah,
So it's there'll be some hitting back.
yeah,
So that should be a good. It should be an interesting matchup if
yeah,
the fouling one turning method can do its thing or not.
yeah,
But again, it's very aggressive. It's a bit boom and bust. Either we kill people and do the one turn, or we not.
yeah.
We're not
Certainly.
trying anything else.
Yeah. One of the sort of thinking, like what I was sort of thinking, like, okay, like if you go for both like Underworld and Skaven, right? Then you have essentially like you have two teams that are like that have very good chances of pulling off like one turner, right? Like they have a very
Mm,
consistently good scoring threats. But then the Spain had like for a roster that seems to be very geared towards playing aggressively, they don't actually have a Skaven player, and that
yep.
might just be a limitation that, well, none of the coaches really do it, and that's something that you just have to take into account.
Yeah, I think most of us will love to. Will have swept that Chaos Dwarf team with a Skaven team if we could.
Yeah. Um.
But that's like we have no for the
Yeah.
probably same reasons,
No.
and that was pretty much what he played last year.
Yeah. Um.
I played him last year, and it looks pretty similar to what he had.
Yeah. I have to give him negative points for
Uh,
how the
it's,
roster is this is not pretty on the eyes. This is, oh boy, like,
so both his blitzers got blocked, and he got
yeah.
guard blocked on the Jaguars,
Yeah.
and then 2 wrestle,
Yeah.
and then he got dirty player. So
Yeah.
he's
And he's also
and
going for
wrestle too.
the also going for the
And
4 rerolls with the leader.
yeah, but again, his style is more aggressive than yours.
Yeah.
This is get you down and stamp on you type of Amazons, which
Yeah.
is playing some Skaven. So that should also
Yeah.
be interesting.
Yeah, it is one of those that, like, Skaven are probably, like, I feel that Skaven is probably one of a pretty good matchup for Amazons, like, on the whole. Like,
Yeah,
because the Amazons can actually, like, fairly consistently deal damage because of the low armor values on the Skaven team,
mm,
and they can't.
but he but the blocker Red Ochre might be useful
Mm-mm. And
if he can get some 3 dice
yeah,
going
yeah,
to find the block.
and the prehensile tail is going to be, like, if he can
It
get that
is a
right.
thing,
Yeah,
and the one turner should also be doable
yeah,
against Amazons.
yeah, absolutely.
So that should be a fun one.
Yeah,
That's another good. It's generally some fun matchups
yeah, it
in
certainly
a
sounds
run.
like an explosive one. That one.
Yeah,
Um, Varog, Wood Elves. Also going for the don't need any skills on the catchers, but he does have a thrower with leader. Only the one reroll base. Does have an
yeah,
apothecary. So, um, I
and
mean,
and yeah. So uh, he's sacrificing. What is he got? He must have more players as well, right? How
one,
many players?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah,
Yeah, so he got 12 players plus Apo.
yeah,
So he gets sacrifice 2 rerolls to get one back via thrower with leader,
yeah,
and then get a bench
yeah,
and gun for a block,
yeah.
which
We
and one
know.
of each.
Yeah, Wrestle is your preferred choice of alignment, sir.
Um, it's different, should work.
Yeah,
The extra money is handy because it gives you option like that.
yeah.
What you can do with multiple rerolls, I would probably prefer having my 3 or having one maybe. If
Mm-mm.
the throw up bites the dust, then
Mm.
you end up having to play with one.
Yeah.
It's a bit,
It,
yeah.
it 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 is definitely, I feel, in tune with, like, the aggressive, like, in I remember in Blood Bowl 2, at least, like, it was fairly common to come across, like, Wood Elf teams that had, like, the one reroll, and then they just went full on for the catchers and the thrower with leader and
And
all that.
all the skills,
Yeah.
yeah, everything that skills, yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's again, it's Wood Elf. It will do fine.
yeah.
What is Wood Elf playing? He's playing purple going on Necro.
I mean, all of
The one turner is not a.
yeah.
Um,
That's I feel Necro is slightly disadvantaged in that matchup. I think. Like I would give a slight edge to the Wood Elves.
it's the strip ball, but so the strip ball is great because
Yeah.
there's no sure hands. 4 guard is problematic.
Yeah.
Stand firm is problematic for the Wood Elves' chances of one turning if needed.
Yeah.
It's one of the game probably has to be decided on actually on the board, which is great.
Mm.
It's yeah.
Yeah. And once again, last but not least, Zero, Necro, and this just looks solid.
Yeah, so he's not, but so he's the 2 rerolls, so not gone with the extra money.
Yeah, and he has not taken guard on the flesh golem. Rather gone for block on both.
Happy days, I'm playing him. So I'm on block, so there's nothing
Yeah.
as a wrestle goal to deal with my blotches.
Yeah.
And less guard to stop me from getting the ball free if I need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I do feel that
and less
you're very
and
happy
less.
with this matchup.
I prefer playing that roster setup than the one purple goo have.
Mm.
If I have to pick those two, I will definitely prefer playing this
Yeah.
because the block is good, but
Mm.
it's not as frustrating for me to play against. And also with one reroll less means there's less stability. So if you rolled a bit badly, or if you yeah,
Mm.
then there's some options there.
Mm. But yeah, no, I think
It's still solid.
yeah.
It's Necro. Necro is great.
Yeah. Like absolutely. Like I think Necro is very like one of those teams that unless you go for like a really crazy build, they're always gonna be like there's that certain consistency that like just comes with the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot like matchups, like a lot of interesting matchups in this first class
Yeah,
here.
it's quite funny. So we got the 2 Necros
Yeah,
and the 2 Wood Elf facing off in
yeah,
2 opposite matchups.
yeah,
We got Mirror Mats in Undead and Mirror Mats in Dark Elves.
yeah. Which
So
is
that's the
and then
which is interesting. I think Pete is pretty happy with the Dark. He
mm,
feels that his roster is slightly better for the Dark Elf mirror.
mm.
I do slightly think the Undead without Even because Undead has zombies to feed to Even.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, Ivor, whatever he's called.
yeah.
Yeah, Even the
Yeah,
animal.
even the animal, yeah, the shroud.
So if you can manage to take him out of the game, you should be able to dominate the rest if you can make him not part of the fun.
Yeah,
But if he gets to a state where he can dominate the ghouls with him, then that's a problem. And the rest is just explosive games that can go anywhere and everywhere. I
yeah.
think with the Amazons, Underworld, and Vampire versus Lizards is.
And I like there have been like comments at least that like lizards are one of those people who don't like definitely fall like to like the hypnotic gaze is it could be a real problem for them. Which I in on the one hand, at least there's not that much of it compared to a regular vampire roster, I guess.
No,
But now
and they can dominate and they can actually hit the
yeah,
vampires that are there
yeah,
because they got strength 4 and block to try to bully the ones they have.
yeah.
So if it doesn't, if the vampire trick doesn't work and he maybe lose 1 or 2 of the ones he has,
Mm,
like if you start losing any vampires, then then Cheney is not gonna do anything.
yeah. I have a feeling that like especially if they lose the vampire runner, if that piece gets taken out, I feel that the vampires could be in big trouble here.
They might be able to sack the ball, but where are they taking it in
Yeah,
that case?
yeah,
And again, the string 4 block can deal with Cheney
yeah,
opposite some other rosters that have a harder time.
yeah,
But it's again, a lot of those games is boom and
Yeah.
bust, where it's mainly to see how the aggressive teams do or not do.
Yeah.
If the stick works,
Mm.
then
Then they can
we
easily
will have a
overrun. Yeah.
we will have a problem. If
Yeah.
the stick doesn't stick, then I feel pretty good about the individual matchups.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of them could easily go south really fast if they get a bit hot.
Yeah.
With the solutions they're taking.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it is certainly like I can definitely feel the sort of ethos of the Spanish team, like the sort of mentality that they seem to be going with. Like being like that has a certain like being able to just go like everybody's kind of on the same page to like the sort of overall strategy of the can definitely bolster spirits if nothing else. But
Yeah, and it's them. Yeah,
yeah,
they're slightly famous for being
yeah.
slightly aggressive.
No. But I think that we're heading on towards the time limit here. So I unless do you have any final statements that you wish to make, whether regarding your own team or regarding the Spanish matchup or the tournament in general?
No, not particularly. I'll just look forward to seeing everyone in Athens and hopefully everyone having a good time. It's one of the biggest community events we got every
Mm,
year. So, and this year we get graced by presents from both the States and Australia. So that's great.
mm.
The
Canada
more
as
this
well.
Canada, yeah, the more this merrier.
Yeah.
So it's turning into a little mini World Cup
Mm,
almost by now, which is lovely and should be a great weekend on Blood Bowl and just community spirit and get to hang out with your friends. Meanwhile, they're playing a game we all love.
yeah. But yeah, thank you again, like very much for coming. I appreciate taking time out of the busy schedule to make it, even on this spur of the moment sort of thing for me. So very much thank you for that. And
You're welcome.
and
Thank you for doing this,
yeah, absolutely. And very
spreading the love.
good luck to you in the tournament. And unless you go up against the Finnish people, and then I'm gonna be like rooting against you. I'm sorry, but I'm just biased like that.
Fine.
But yeah, thank you for being here, and thank you everybody who tuned in to watch. We will be having more streams today. We're gonna have three in particular. One of them, I'm gonna be playing my league game in just a bit, and then later on in the evening at 21:00 UK time, we're gonna be having the Welsh captain and the Welsh vice captain coming in for an interview as well. But as I always say, good day, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, whatever happens to be the time of day for you. Have a good one.